May 17th, 2022 to order, please. Adoption agenda for May 17th, 2022 regular council meeting. Can I get a motion for that, please? Councillor Chenard. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Adoption of the previous minutes of May 3rd, 2022 regular council meeting. Council Dyer. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, item D, we are into public hearings right now. First one is intermunicipal development plan amending bylaw number 2276 presented by Clayton Kidlitz, General Manager, Infrastructure and Planning. And just to go a little bit here, what's going to happen. Staff will give a presentation here. Objectives is listen to a debate over the merits of the proposed points of view expressed by the speakers. Everybody will be given an opportunity to be heard. Comments must be made specifically to the subject of questions from the council for clarification. Council may ask questions for clarification, but there will be no debate. I want everybody to speak clearly on that. So I think on that, we will go with Clayton Kidlitz here.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, thank you. Tonight is a presentation for the public hearing for bylaw 2276, which is a bylaw to amend the intermunicipal development plan between the town of Edson and Yellowhead County, which is bylaw 2200. The IDP, purpose of an IDP is to the policy framework around fringe lands or lands that are around the town of Edson that surround it but are within Yellowhead County's jurisdiction. For reference, the map on the screen shows town of Edson boundary, and then the area hatched in gray represents the IDP area where this policy framework or this plan governs growth and development. Reasons for the amendment is Yellowhead County adopted a new land use bylaw in September of 2021. And part of that introduced some new land uses that aren't no longer defined in the new land use bylaw, but are still referenced in the existing IDP. So basically, what the amendment entailed is more of I would characterize it as housekeeping amendments. It's just basically removing some references to the old land use districts that no longer exist because of that land use bylaw update. And just for reference, Yellowhead County passed a similar amended bylaw on April 12th of 2022. Getting into some specifics of what those changes were, specifically in section 3.5 of the IDP, they referenced the 6 country residential zones that they had in the previous land use bylaw. They've since amended that to just be country residential district, and therefore the amendment in this section just removes those 6 references to the one singular common reference or general reference to residential. Section 3.8, very similar. Their previous district was rural industrial, and now they went to just simply industrial districts. So the swapping of those references. Section 3.10 is proposed to be removed in its entirety. And then finally, section 4.4.1, again, the reference to the rural industrial is replaced with just simply industrial land use district. So really that's the bulk and the essence of the proposed amendments, textual in nature, and again, don't really impact any of the policy or the intent of the IDP. Notifications for tonight's public hearing were placed in the weekly anchor and also on the town's website. And at the time of this presentation, we received no submissions either for or against the proposed amendments. So at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Does council have any questions for clarity? No, seeing none. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kidlitz. Yeah, I don't see anything up there either, so it went blank.
I think he's watching the hockey game and. There he is. He's back. Oh, he lost his cool background.
Mr. Mayor, do you have anything? You can't talk, so no. Thank you.
I hope I don't get that sickness.
I have nothing, Deputy Mayor
On
Bennett.
to number 2, development permit change of use and addition, 4921 6th Avenue, Plan 1494 AC, Block 28, Lot 8, presented by Clayton Kidless, General Manager, Infrastructure and Planning. And the same rules apply as when we had the first one for public hearing. Go ahead, Christine.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I just wanted to note in the, with the presentations, of course, the presenter, we have the opportunity for staff, but we also have the opportunity for the applicant to speak if they
This one
so
here,
desire.
yes.
Yes, just making sure that that's clear.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So the presentation for this public hearing is for with reference to development permit 016-2022, which is a property located at 4921 on 6th Avenue in the direct control district, and use is a minor eating establishment. Policy reference for this particular site, the MVP does designate the area as commercial land for future commercial land uses. It also identifies the area under central commercial area redevelopment plan area, which the idea of an area redevelopment plan is to provide further policy direction with respect to the development and redevelopment of an area. These ARPs have not been completed to date, so we don't have any further policy direction that can help us in terms of guiding a decision with respect to this particular site. So we turn to the land use bylaw, again, which designates our districts of land as direct control district, where council is the development authority. It's been in this zoning for quite a long time, 30 years. I can't speak to the rationale for the direct control district at that time, but it's been like that for quite some time. And on the graphic here on the screen, the subject parcel is highlighted in yellow. The red parcels are also all zone direct control, so it's not the only parcel in the area that has that zoning. I think the tan is commercial, and the light blue or cyan is residential. I think the purple is the institutional for the fire hall. So generally, it's surrounded by similar land uses, directly adjacent anyway in terms of zoning. Sorry. With respect to existing land uses, it's residential in nature on either side, and then obviously the commercial and institutional. I guess I already said that. Sorry. Also, as council is aware, any decisions made under direct control district development permit has no appeal. Clear on that. Again, as I mentioned, the proposed development is for a minor eating establishment, a tea room, little restaurant. The definition of the land use bylaw for a minor eating drinking establishment is displayed on the screen. Essentially, it's any small type restaurant, cafe, establishment that does not include a drive-through. So, and this use certainly falls within that definition. Just some of the specifics with respect to the proposed development. This is the current property front elevation. It's a single family residence in a commercial direct control district. The proposed development includes some modifications to the interior of the house to create the commercial kitchen space, as well as some additions for a covered waiting area and a deck waiting area. And the graphic here kind of displays a little bit of a rendering of what it would look like potentially from the front view. Part of our process in land use bylaw gives us the option to do a pre-notification of an application in a discretionary direct control district. So as part of this application, we did send notification to adjacent landowners, and at that time we received 2 submissions. And the things that were expressed as concerns were parking, sale of alcohol, and then the hours of operation. Within the draft notice decision as part of the package, we have addressed all 3 of those items. There are parking stalls provided in the back, which does meet the requirements of the zoning or the land use bylaw, sorry. We have put a provision in that no alcohol sales or consumption will be permitted on the use. And finally, we've established a boundary around the hours of operation between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. 7 days a week. In notification for this public hearing, in addition to being an ad placed in the Weekly Anchor and on our website, we sent a notification to the landowners listed on this graphic. The notification did include a copy of the draft notice of decision as well, so that the adjacent landowners did have that information in hand. And once again, at the time of this public hearing that reported tonight, we have yet to receive any submissions for or against any additional information for or against the proposed application. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Kittlitz. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak against or against this? None? Is there anybody online, Steve?
No.
Nobody online. Council, any clarification you'd like to have on this? Councilor Moore?
Deputy Mayor, through to Mr. Kittlitz. As far as parking is concerned, is there any concerns from the town that parking might overflow and someone might park in the town parking lot at some point, sometime?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. You know what? I don't think so. I mean, they've met the minimum requirements of the land use bylaw with respect to the parking based on their proposed uses. I guess, council could ask for additional or more space, but I don't suspect it'll be a problem. It's not a long-term stay use. It's sort of a quick little stop in and get a drink or a light snack and move on. There may be some sitting, but I don't suspect that'll be a problem. It's in the downtown area. There's lots of available street parking as well, so not a concern from our perspective.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I guess the question is, with the new building you want to put on there, all the setbacks are going to be okay with the addition going on and everything else in that?
Yes.
Okay. Mayor Zahara, do you have anything you'd like to say? No.
Thank you.
Okay, well, seeing that then, we will move on. Okay, we have no delegations. Go ahead.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, you want to close?
Oh, yes, sorry about that. Close the public hearing. Officially declare the public hearing is closed. Thank you very much. We don't get to do this very often. It's always an error. We need to be schooled more often. No delegations. F, reading of bylaws, intermunicipal development plan amending bylaw number 2276, presented by Clayton Kittlitz, General Manager, Construction and Planning.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I have nothing further to add. Again, we received no information for or against, so I think as in the RFP to council, we're in support of the proposed amendments.
Thank you. No questions? Councilor Pichichny?
I would move that we give second reading to bylaw number 2276.
Thank you for the motion. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
You should ask for discussion, Mr. Deputy.
You didn't want to discuss it, did you?
I might have a question.
Yeah. No, you didn't.
You have another chance.
Have another
Yeah,
chance?
you get a chance here.
Can you? explain
Motion that
that
council
part
give
again?
third reading to bylaw number 2276.
I can make that motion.
Councilor Byer, any discussion? I see none. All in favor? That's passed. Okay, moving on. Reports from administration. 2022-25 strategic plan presented by Christine Brever, CAO, and Ian McCormick, President of Strategic Steps. And I believe Ian is on the screen up here.
Yeah, Mr. Deputy Mayor, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll move that we approve the 22 to 2025 strategic plan as set out in the attachment.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So I'm pleased to have Ian McCormick from Strategic Steps joining me to present the strategic plan for 2022 to 2025. I know that council worked very hard on this strategic plan, as well as administration working together to find solutions and I think plans for our future together for growing the community and setting forward some direction for the administration to be able to achieve the goals that council set out. So I look forward to Ian to be able to just walk through what you'll note from the last, the changes from the strategic plan from the last time you saw it was that actually our performance measures included, and the administration did work with Ian on, and we feel that these are achievable in a sense where it provides us enough direction in order to bring back and to bring some measurement that council is able to, also the accountability measure that we have in place as well. So.
Thank you very much.
I'll take the silence as a cue, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and maybe fill that silence just a little bit. So the text that you see in front of you is the same as the text you had seen last time with, as your CAO had suggested, the inclusion now of performance measures. We had chosen not to include those the first time you saw those simply because we wanted to make sure we were actually measuring the right thing. So the text is identical to what you had seen before. It's got performance measures included. And now, of course, subsequent to the review with council a month ago or so, we had now sent that out for graphic design, which the 7 pages or 8 pages of your strategic plan now contain. And I think it looks really good. And I'm hopeful that it reflects the effort that council has put into it and your desires for the success of your community over the balance of this term and beyond. So, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I'll leave it at that because you've heard me speak about this now a couple of times.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from the council? Mr. Taylor, no, I was thinking Peter, I don't know what I was going to call it.
Turn
Council
the
Taylor.
we call the lowers. Through the chair to CEO Beveridge, under the creating a connected community that's safe and inclusive, there are 2 performance measures and there are 3 goals. Is there supposed to be a 3rd performance measure? Because the first performance measure matches the first goal. The second one matches the third one, but there doesn't seem to be a measure for celebrate the uniqueness and diversity of our residents, or is that included within one of the other performance measures?
Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Taylor, one could say when we went through this section, that's a hard thing to measure, I would say. So it's one of those areas where I think that a measurement would be a little bit of a challenge in order to bring forward.
Okay.
Follow up.
So then, shouldn't it read goal 1, goal 3, just as just to match? So goal 1 goes to the number 1. Goal 2 should actually be goal 3, and right? No.
There, Mr. Mayor or Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Taylor, strictly there are goals just assigned to that particular pillar.
Just the whole pillar as a sub. Okay, all right. Just the way I read through the document to measure connected to each. Does that make sense to what I'm saying? Am I crazy throughout? Okay, I wasn't crazy. Okay. All right. So I was reading that. Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Councillor Breyer.
Thanks. Through the chair to administration, I suppose. Regarding the performance measures, do we have benchmarks right now that where we are with that? And maybe a question I have is, so under what Councillor Taylor mentioned, the creating a connected community, goal 1, the housing supply is increasing to meet community need. So I'm just a little unclear exactly what that means. Does that mean that we have lots of houses for sale, or that we have built houses, or that there are houses for rent? I'm just kind of wondering how we plan on measuring that, and then just like what number are we at now? So then when that number changes, how do we know if it goes up or down? So.
Ian, if you wanted to just talk about it.
Sure. It's certainly, Deputy Mayor, just a general comment to this. These are new performance measures, so there are no, well, for the most part, there are no benchmarks. What we've got with the first year of a strategic plan is the baseline. And then we can begin to measure against that baseline as you look forward through the course of this term and then beyond as well. Some of these things are fairly easily measurable, how much, how many, sort of those output sorts of things. But when it comes to things like satisfaction or those sort of softer changes, we're starting to look at outcome measures, which typically take longer to determine. So it's quite likely that some of these measures we'll begin to understand in year 2, and others will likely take a little bit longer than that as well. Councillor, I hope that answers your question, but if not, I'm happy to provide more input.
Follow up.
Sure, a follow-up. So thank you, Ian. I do understand how some of those softer goals are a challenge to measure. Maybe an easier one to ask is in fostering a robust and adaptable economy. The goal 1 is the number of businesses in Edson increases. So that one, I think we would be able to have a baseline knowing, okay, there's, X number of businesses, this year, and then next year, or as that changes, then we would be able to kind of see that. So I guess what I'm asking is that for those performance measures that we do have those hard facts, just that we get them now so we can just see where we are, because it's hard to, like, I don't know how many businesses we have in Edson. Like, you could throw out any number and I wouldn't know right now, or next year you could tell me any number and I'd be like, oh wow, that's wonderful, what does it mean? So I guess I'm just looking for that, if this is like the beginning of year 1, so we're at 0, then what does that look like, right? So that's my only question. Otherwise, I'm pleased to see that they're on there, and I can certainly see a challenge in some of the softer ones.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, if I may jump in here too, and I apologize if I'm jumping on your CAO or jumping ahead of her. Some of these, the baseline measures you likely, for some of these outputs you likely already have, but some of those ones which are looking for softer outcome measures are often something that is based on either consultation or surveying or something like that, which is yet to be administered. So some of those likely aren't known, or are known like in an apocryphal or an assumed way without having done any sense of real measurement towards it yet.
Your beverage.
Deputy Mayor, Bevan, through Councillor Barr. I will add to that. The intention is to be able to bring back continuous reporting, so quarterly reporting with regards to the strategic plan, which would give that some of that information. And so on a continuous basis, we would be able to provide more information. This just starting out with fresh with this document and starting halfway through the year is definitely more of a challenge. But as we grow and we work through, we will have more data that we're able to bring through on when we're reporting. And at the same time, there may be adjustments that are made as well during, as we know that this document, we're definitely going to be flexing, but it's a start, and the reporting is something that I think is really important for us to keep us all on track. Thank you.
Mayor Zahara, do you have anything else to add?
Yes, I do, Deputy Mayor, and thank you for filling in for me this evening. First of all, thank you, Ian, and your team for just a fantastic job. The one thing I really like about this document is it's easy to read. It's visually pleasing as well. My question, though, is through to administration is that are we going to have hard copies available to be distributed for, say, things like trade shows or meetings with the Chamber, Rotary Club, or other partners?
Deputy Mayor, through to Mayor Zahara, yes, that's not a problem, yes.
Councilor Taylor?
Through the Deputy Mayor to Council and Administration, I want to sort of follow up and say that I really like the structure of the plan. I think all 7 individuals, as well as the 4 members of administration that were at a retreat, you can see little bits of all of us in this document, which is neat to see, that all of our needs that we think are important over the next few years is included in this. And I'm looking forward to seeing some positive changes, whether it be in housing, whether it be in Indigenous work, some of the sort of the newer things that maybe haven't been in strat plans in the past are now being included in this, and we're addressing in our communities. So kind of looking forward to getting to work on this. So thank you to administration and to Mr. McCormick for putting this all together. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have to say the same thing. I mean, after being on council for quite a while here, this was a new way we went, which was totally different to even the veterans on here. I know some of them had reservations the way it was going to go and that, but I think when we left, everybody said it was a good experience in that. First time we ever had a moderator. And I think our CEO Beverage was kind of sitting on the hot seat there for a bit. She didn't know for sure, but she stepped out of the box for us, taking us in a different direction. I believe it's good. It's working well. I hope we get to continue this next year and for many years after that. As you can see, council and administration really liked it. And thank you, Ian, for being the first moderator we have. It was very great. So, cool.
Thank you,
Other
Councillor.
questions? Oh, no.
Just a comment, Councillor Taylor had mentioned that we all put our part. That's why the goals are some are 4 and some are 3. That's my math. That's my input into this. Just for clarification. Other than that, great job.
Someone write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we get that recorded, please?
Yeah.
It's 3, 4, 8. I was just counting this out.
Okay. All in favor? That's passed. Okay, moving on to number 3 here. Where are we here? I need a development permit change use of addition 49216 Avenue Plan 1494 AC Block 28 Lot 8. Presented by Clayton Kidlitz, manager. Can I get a motion that council approve the notice of decision for development permit number 016022 as set out in the attachment number 1? Councilor Chenard. Mr. Kidlitz.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Again, as we haven't heard any additional feedback from adjacent landowners of the public or the applicant, administration is in support of council approving the development permit, subject to the draft notice decision in the agenda.
Mayor Zahara.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. As an individual that used to live right next door to this residence and I'm familiar with the neighborhood, I think this is going to be an interesting development in our community if it moves forward. I don't share some of the concerns that were brought forward earlier, as we do have a number of commercial properties around that area. I do think that some of the concerns that were raised have been addressed through the development permit notice here in terms of alcohol sales and things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be an interesting test in our community to see if, you know, some of these older homes can be converted into minor eating establishments like this. It's certainly something that's missing on the north side of Main Street, and I hope that people will be able to walk and bike to it. And I'm very happy to support this.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion passed. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to 2022 Economic Development Work Plan presented by Hundi. I cannot say your last name, sir. Economic Development Officer. Get a motion that council accept the 2022 Economic Development Work Plan for information. Councilor Taylor. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here today to discuss the Town of Edson Economic Development Work Plan. So administration has developed a work plan which provides a high-level roadmap for local economic development initiatives to be pursued for the remainder of 2022. So the work plan is guided by two of Council's draft strategic pillars, which are fostering a robust and adaptable economy and ensuring quality infrastructure. Furthermore, economic development is very much multifaceted, and accompanying us working on this work plan, we thought to touch on each of those facets which include employment, business retention, business attraction, tourism, sustainability, and community economic development. So just being cognizant of where we are right now in Edson, also it's good to reflect on just how diverse our business community is. And as much as we want to build for the future, whilst we're all trying to, be cognizant of the fact that we try to equally try to nurture what we have here in Edson. Because as you can see right now, we have a broad base of businesses, and we just want to keep making sure that we are supporting them the best way that we can. There's your number of businesses. So corresponding to those two draft strategic pillars, we as well identify goals that we believe would help us, or at least complement some of those pillars and help us get to meeting those pillars. And so the first goal that we have is to support new and established businesses and entrepreneurs to thrive in the Edson economy. And accompanying that goal is an objective. And the first one is to complete a rewrite of the town Edson's business license bylaw. So in pursuing this objective, we would hope to bring alignment, to have stakeholder input to how the bylaw will be, and to as well address nuances of today when it comes to businesses. So much has changed from when we last updated our business license bylaw in 2006 up until now. So it'd just be nice to touch up on what has changed, the new ways businesses are now operating as well. Now coming to our second objective, it is to improve ease of access to the town's business licensing process. So this will involve streamlining the workflow, making sure that there's ease of access and use for our businesses, and to improve data gathering methods, just so that we can always be cognizant of what we currently have in Edson, and just be better prepared to almost support them in the best way that they need, given how unique Edson's portfolio is for our businesses. So objective 3 is to develop a program for ongoing business visitations. And through this objective, this will have us identifying working conditions for our businesses currently. It will help us to capture common points of concern for all the businesses that we do have those conversations with. And it will also help us improve municipal service offerings to those businesses after having known what they are going through right now. And now moving to the fourth objective. This is to establish a partnership for regional tourism initiatives. And in pursuing this objective, we would like to establish regional alliances, outside of just living in the Yellowhead County. There's so many other alliances that we might be able to form, and synergies that might be grown out of those established alliances. And something else we're looking at is to demonstrate an active role in tourism for it, and to stimulate positive impacts for the region as well. And now coming to our second goal, it is to become a destination of choice for talent and capital. And the objective that we have for this is to develop and maintain the town of Edson community profile. And in doing this, we will showcase Edson's uniqueness. We will identify community needs, and that will also help us inform planning, delivery, and monitoring of services. So the second objective to that goal is webpage content development. And with this, we will try to establish an online presence, encourage engagement, be a hub for resources and information, and as well a conduit between internal and external stakeholders. Now coming to our third objective. This is to develop a business case for an economic development strategy. And this will help us realize a community economic development vision that we can all just work towards. It will lay out community and business goals and build methodologies towards accomplishing those goals. And the fourth objective for this goal is to develop a mobile business unit and or market vendor pilot. So this is something we're actually currently working on right now with our community development and the Galloway station. And through this initiative, we're just trying to spur economic vitality within Edson to support community development and as well boost localization initiatives in making sure that all the local businesses and residents are involved in building our economic base here in Edson. And last but not least, our last goal is to seize the potential of our existing land assets and physical attributes. And in doing this, we identified the objective, which is to complete town land supply and inventory report, which we think will help us inform land acquisition and disposition decisions, help us set strategies for town-owned parcels of land and address infrastructure capacities, so that we can be proactive when it comes to how we can address some of these issues when it comes to our land inventory. And that's as far as we went when it came to this work plan. And again, this is just meant to be high level, just touching on some of those foundational parts that we thought would help build a base for economic development. Open to any questions that come from that.
Any questions from council?
Through the deputy mayor to, I'm sorry, what your name again, Mr.
Just Kundi.
Kundi. Fair enough. Thank you. You mentioned the mobile business unit. Can you expand upon this and what you exactly mean? I guess I'm still a little hazy on what this means, the mobile business unit.
Yeah. So, we sat down with community development and Galloway Station. And in having discussions with them, we actually realized that there's an active mobile business community here in Edson. And so this can be mobile food vendors and whatnot, even people that sell t-shirts. And so the idea was to basically try to establish a program that allows those mobile vendors to have a place here in Edson. And the idea was to just find designated locations throughout the town. So we're looking at Griffiths Park and Centennial Park, and within those designated locations, have those mobile vendors come in and be a part of the community to showcase what services or products that they're providing. Just have the community engage. So it could be like something that really caught our eye was something like someone selling ice cream, the spray park, something like that, something as simple as that. Just have that throughout the spring and summer, and just as a pilot to see how it works, how effective it is in engagement, and to see if the businesses actually like it. So yeah, so that was it. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Councilor Schneider.
Through Deputy Mayor to the Economical Development Officer, because I'm going to tackle your name. In a lot of times where we're emphasizing on new business, we have any way to engage growth, because a lot of times a home-based business starts as one employee and expands to 10. That is still economical growth for our town. So I'm not against new ones, but encourage other ones to grow. There's a lot of home-based that grow into 10 to 15, 20 employees.
Yeah, so to the Deputy Mayor, to Councilor Conrad, that's a really great point, and it's something I really tried to speak to when I started this presentation, and just making sure that so we do have a great base and for businesses here in Edson. And I do agree, this should be tailored towards nurturing what we currently have. And so part of going through this work plan would be to, and so even with the business visitations, the economic development strategy, all of that kind of helps us to find ways to address some of these things that come up with these businesses, to help them, to nurture them as they kind of grow from one place to the next. So for a lot of these home-based businesses, the immediate step might not be from them being home-based to a storefront. And so we would hope to have those discussions with them and try to find ways that we can assist them, right? Whether it be with us or even through a regional alliance with Community Futures and whatnot. So that's definitely something we definitely want to put a point on in nurturing those businesses.
Mr. Kidlitz?
Yeah. If I could, Mr. Deputy Mayor, just to supplement, and I think it's a great question, and I think in developing this We recognize that there's sort of another track when it comes to economic development. That's the attracting the new, while taking care of what we have and attracting the new. And I think in the absence of that economic development strategy that we hope to bring to our business plan to council to consider for 2023 budget, we've focused internal for this work plan. There is some, as Mr. Nyambir mentioned, there is some focus for the new, but we're focused internally or sort of in town for this particular work plan. And we're certainly looking to see how that economic development strategy might guide us towards how we might find some different initiatives and objectives that will help us with that attraction piece. The other thing you'll note that the work plan referenced the previous strategic goals. We didn't want to presuppose council's approval of the new strategic plan, but we're also very confident we took that scan and the objectives in the work plan we created for 2022 certainly align with the new fostering a robust and adaptable economy objective, our goal, our pillar with the new strategic plan. So moving forward, we'll obviously work towards focusing on the new strat plan. So I'm going to throw that in there.
There's Air.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. And thank you, Kundi, for your presentation. And I'm excited to see the work that you're going to be doing on this, and your mobile vendors program as well, I think is going to be well received in the community. Just a side note, I know that Councillor Beyer was asking about business licenses. As of March 15th, we had 671 within the town of Edson. That's comparable to 559 that we had in 2018. We had 694 in 19, 714 in 2020, and in 2021, 673. So pretty stable in that front, and hopefully we'll see that grow with the pandemic coming to a close. To Kundi, just a question. You mentioned West Charlotte Community Futures. Has the visitation survey been shared with you, and are you reviewing that as a part of your work plan?
Through the Deputy Mayor to Mayor Zahra, yes, it actually has. The Deputy Mayor was actually kind enough to send it to me to view it and see what Community Futures has done, and they've done a fantastic job. Throughout the 3 years, capturing all the survey questions and the interactions that they've had, not only within Edson, but within Hinton and whatnot. And so the plan for us, as Clayton sort of alluded to, is to almost have a personal touch, right? With what Community Futures did, it's very wholesome. It's more of a regional component to how they are looking at doing those visitations. Whereas for us, we would love to introduce ourselves to the business community and just let them know that we are here and that we are here to help them. And when it comes to how we choose to go about doing that, we have brainstormed doing a survey as well, asking them questions and just trying to get a general sense and feel how they've been serviced so far, and seeing if there are any areas that we can kind of help them the best way that we can.
Councillor Beyer.
Sorry, thanks. Through the Deputy Mayor to Kundi. On the developing and maintaining a town of Edson community profile, can you kind of just elaborate a little bit more? What does that mean?
So through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Beyer. So one of the first things we recognized in having an economic development person here in Edson is just that when it comes to our presence online, there really isn't much to speak to economic development. And so, that bits and pieces of information everywhere. And so it's almost trying to define and give a voice to economic development. And in doing so, try to build up that profile for Edson as an economic development town. And so, throughout that process, it's just trying to establish, I guess, a foundation for economic development, apart from just, internally as well as externally, so that people from far off can see what economic development looks like here. And so that's sort of how we're looking at it.
Awesome. Thank you.
CEO Beveridge.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through Councillor, I'll just supplement that. We do know that essentially there's data that is required when investors are looking at our community, and that's something that I think when I first met this council, or previous council, that was something we identified that was missing. And that's something that we definitely recognize, gathering the data and ensuring that we have enough information. So it's very clear when someone's looking at our community, we have the information they need, because they will move on to the next if we don't have that type of information available and readily accessible. So.
Do you have any other questions? Councillor Taylor?
Through the deputy mayor to Kundi. When you speak of regional alliances, are you talking about other municipalities or like Community Futures West Yellowhead? Are you, what kind of alliances you want to wishing to build over the next year here?
Yeah, so through the deputy mayor to Councillor Taylor. So when we talk about regional alliances, it was all encompassing. So it's working with municipalities within the country moving forward when it comes to many initiatives. And as well, just making sure to connect with other regional components, like Yellowhead and other chambers of commerce. Just making sure that we're just able to, I guess, get as much information as we need from outside as well, to sort of just help us cultivate something moving forward.
Follow up?
Just to follow up through the deputy mayor. And do most other municipalities have economic development officers like yourself? Is it easy to partner with them in terms of that? Initiatives and things like that?
Through the deputy mayor councillor. So when it comes to rural municipalities, no, there are not a lot of economic development officers, but they do have people that do fill those roles. So, a certain municipality, they might have someone that's in community development, for example. And so it'd be just about, well, us leaning on that component that we have for economic development, which does involve community development. And so leaning more towards that when it comes to those municipalities. Whereas others would have economic development professionals, and then sort of leaning to that and making sure that we can benefit. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Councillor Schneider?
Through the deputy mayor to the development officer. So what you're saying would be an example, like I'm the member on the Trans-Canada Highway Association, so you're talking tourism. If you reach out to them, because I know what you're getting on the path, you want to do tourism, and there's many tourism groups that are also connected with us. So I like the way you're thinking broadly. So if we're thinking tourism, we're thinking business, because it could be in Manitoba, BC, Saskatchewan, anywhere that is starting some form of business. So if we can make a connection and say, okay, you're setting up a chain of whatever businesses that we can. So that would just be one that you could reach out to, and we are connected all three provinces.
Yeah, through the deputy mayor. No, that's a really great point. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Kundi. I know we attended the Economic Development Conference together there, and I think it was very informative, good speakers and everything else. So I think, I know I got a lot out of it and everything else, and it was very nice to meet you there for the first time. I don't know if Mayor Sahara has anything else to add? No? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Moving on. Proclamation Seniors Week, presented by Bob Beck, General Manager of Community and Protective Services. And a motion, please, that Council proclaim the week of January 6th to 12th, 2022 as Seniors Week in the town of Edson. Councilor Moore, make that decision.
Oh, sure, pick on that there for me.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bevan. It's pretty straightforward. We're asking council to declare the week of June 6th to 12th as Seniors Week in the town of Edson. There's a number of activities planned for that week. Some of them are highlighted in the report, but we've got free aquafit on Monday for seniors. Pioneer Cabin and Elks, soup, sandwich, and cake on Tuesday, as well as the Legion has a supper, senior supper on Tuesday. Ladies Auxiliary and Parkland Lodge are sponsoring a free movie at the Nova Theater on Wednesday. The town is sponsoring and hosting a pancake breakfast at the Fire Hall on Thursday. And Galloway Station Museum has high tea and tours. On Friday, we have Seniors Walking Group, and Parkland Lodge has barbecue parking lot in the parking lot, and facility tours on Friday. And lastly, we've got 80s Art in a Park at Centennial Park on Saturday, and we fully support the council making this proclamation.
Is there any questions? Can I just get you to send that out to the council so we know what's going on for the whole weekend?
Sure.
You know, and I know after pretty much 2 years and not being able to do everything, like first time when he come out said, pancake breakfast, I got a call from a couple of gentlemen asked if we're gonna do pancakes again at the fire hall. And I said, yeah, we are. So we're looking forward. We've done it probably for the last 10 years, the flipping pancakes. It's really great. So I'm really looking forward to this. So, you know, thank you very much.
So then. So that'll be Daniel's job when he gets back to send Mr. Keller invites.
Yes. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Okay, moving on here. Affirming library board appointees and term expiry dates presented by Bob Beck, General Manager, Community and Protective Service. Motion that pursuant to a bylaw number 1879, council affirm appointments of the Edson Public Library Board members and establish the terms as set out in attachment 1. Can I get a motion, please? Councilor Taylor?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bevan. It's a bit of housekeeping. The way that we were passing resolutions appointing the members at the org meeting needed to be a little bit clearer with respect to expiry dates. And Mr. Lucas caught this when reviewing some other matters with respect to the library board and reviewed it with municipal affairs and got some advice. So part of it is that. And then 2 of the members were not actually included in the org meeting motion. So it's a bit of housekeeping, we believe, and we ask council to support that motion.
No, good deal. Any questions? Councilor Shishney?
Through the deputy mayor to Mr. Beck. The only thing I'm concerned about, and maybe you can address it, is the town rep is appointed at every organizational meeting annually, and you have his expiration date at 2024. Just curious why it wouldn't expire on our next organizational, because we do an organizational annually.
Deputy Mayor Bevan, I've got to agree with Councilor Position. The bylaw is clear that the council member is appointed annually.
Yeah, I picked that up also. So, Councilor Byer?
Thanks, through the chair to Councillor Position. If I don't recall, there may be something in the Libraries Act that may suggest otherwise. I'm not sure. It doesn't with the council.
Through the deputy mayor to Councilor Byer. I agree with Councilor Position. It is appointed annually. Our term expires every year. essentially.
And it has always been that way as long as I remember. So, yeah. For sure. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Point of order, Mr. Deputy Mayor,
Yes.
I would move that we would amend the motion to appoint all those with the exception of Councillor Taylor, as he's appointed at our organizational meeting. Unless there's some kind of a rule against that.
I'm sure.
Is it worded okay?
We don't need to reappoint someone that's already been appointed. So that's
No, because the expiry date.
He just need to be on there.
Yeah.
with the removal of Councillor Taylor.
So my move to amend that we remove Councillor Taylor from the members and terms, as he is a representative of the council instead of organizational by the mayor.
Okay, so everybody understands the question? All in favor?
Amendment.
Okay, all in favor?
Are you speaking?
So Mayor Sahara, you had something to say?
Oh, I don't.
Okay, moving on then.
And you'd have to vote on the motion that has been amended now.
Yes, okay, sorry about that.
That's all right.
So we have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
I'll just read back the motion.
Yeah,
So that pursuant to bylaw number 1879, council affirm the appointments of the Edson Public Library Board members and establish their terms as set out in attachment 1 as amended.
okay, that's much. So all in favor? Again.
We're just getting.
Oh,
extra. Keep it up. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. The meat and potatoes is there.
I think Councillor Position is learning his new role very well.
Told you you were in training, counselor.
Okay, no information items, no sundry. Council committee reports going back to May the 4th, I do believe.
Yeah, that's hard to be with you.
You're right, just one shot.
Council Moore, would you like to go ahead?
Thank you. Yeah, May 10th, I attended the committee meeting here at the council chambers. May 12th, I attended the Edson and District Historical Society meeting. Good bunch of people, of course, and at the Kundi made a presentation there, which he was speaking of tonight, the mobile business unit and market. And I found that most interesting. You know, food trucks and also sellers, and you know, people can't get enough of that, really, I don't think. And yeah, and that was a great presentation. I think everyone was impressed. And various proposals are being looked at, of course. And June 16th is the annual general meeting. And I'll have to call on my colleague, Mr. Pasishny, to fill in for me, as I won't be in town at that time.
Which date?
June 16th.
And I'm going to what?
Edson District Historical Society, Gallery Station.
Mayor is right, he's training well.
Okay.
Just send me an email on that.
Yes, everybody go.
Sure, sure. And of course, Staff Appreciation Day, it was most enjoyable. The weather cooperated, which was nice. No wind, no rain, fantastic. And I think everybody enjoyed serving hamburgers and hot dogs to town staff, and I'm sure they appreciated it immensely. Expertly barbecued by Councilor Bevan, by the way. And you'll be dreaming of hamburgers and hot dogs tonight, I'm sure.
Oh, no.
And yeah. And today I took part in a local government fiscal framework seminar. Lasted about, well, just over 2 hours, and it was most interesting, talking about future monies for municipalities, whether it's going to be more or less. And I think mostly everyone was, you know, was happy about it. And I guess we'll just wait and see what happens, because who can look into the future? I certainly can. Anyway, thank you.
Any Council Moore, Council Byer?
Thanks. On May 9th, I attended the Homelessness, Mental Health and Addiction Task Force meeting, and had a bunch of discussion about, you know, what would be the best step to getting the vulnerable population that are on the street and either suffering from mental health issues or addictions, and how do we perhaps better their situation. And kind of had a bunch of different discussions about that. But in the end, we're waiting for the results of the survey, which has closed. And once we have that information, it will be kind of integral to how do you kind of go this way with things or that way with things, and finding out where our biggest gap in our needs are would be most helpful. And on May 10th, I attended the committee of the whole meeting, and today, May 17th, helped out at the Town of Edson Staff Appreciation Barbecue. So that was fantastic.
Hey, Council Byer, Council Schnard?
Okay, I'm gonna touch on this one because the town should be involved. May 7th, it was called Touch a Truck. And the estimate was 400 to 500 people attended, and it was it was a very cold, windy day, but it was an opportunity for, I believe the town somewhat was involved in it. I just showed up out of the blue, but it was very well attended. It's something that should carry on in the years.
Council appointment, or are you just staying on your own?
No,
There's
it
nothing
was
to do with
town
council, let's move
involvement.
on.
I attended as a counselor, so I was there, Councilor Bevins. Okay, so I didn't touch your trucks, not my fault. Okay, May 10th, committee of the whole meeting. May 11th, chamber meeting. As advertised in paper's fault, there wasn't 14,000 people attended, there was a typo. So the estimate that was around, because the counter was working between 14 and 1,500 people attended the trade show. Was brought up. The other thing with the Summerfest coming, was 14, 15, 16th, they're gonna do online advanced bracelet sales. And the thing that was discussed, and it won't happen this year, but maybe next year, due to the rides, they need to do it midweek, but it's something if they can partner up, we're thinking extending it and go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know, get some other involvement, because they are, most people are pleased there's something, but there's a lot of people complaining, why can't I do it on the weekend? Well, that's the answer why. You can't get the midway rides. And they're moving forward with Summerfest. They will be announcing their business awards. There's some people that want to do it in live, but it's due to economics that they will do online the same as previous years unless they get sponsorship. They will be also coming out, they're bringing back their annual Christmas party, and there's already lots of interest. So if you're interested in bringing a group forward, that they will announce the advanced ticket sales for that. On May 12th, I attended the Synergy, and they informed us it's our last Zoom meeting. In September, we will be meeting in person. One of my reports was the Cascade. So the mayor sent out to us the stuff that was interesting at the Cascade. They're estimated over the entire projects through fuel sales and other things, are estimating 45 to 50 million was spent in the Edson area. And they're going to be ramping up. They're running at 500 employees towards the end of September and October. They may go up to 800, lasting to February, March. We're hoping to be done 2023, and they may still hit that date, but they're having problems with, like anyone else, getting parts and shipments is a holdup for them. They give us a great view of their drone driving around, and it makes you look at the magnitude of this project. It was very, very huge, and it was interesting involvement. The other ones that reported to us was TC Energy. That's where Awashchuck and Bannister and other pipelines going through here. They're about 80% done. They will be coming back for cleanup August, September. Spread 2, which is also, that would be TMX, which is Midwest Pipe. 80% of the pipe is in the ground. Most of our area is done and complete. There will be cleanup and grass seeding, etc. It's more towards Edmonton that's not in the ground. And the watershed, but I don't have that paper, so I can't report on that. And then also today attended May 17th staff appreciation. I did my part. I got to meet and greet the employees because that's what I'm good at. And it was interesting. So I questioned them because we brought up satisfaction. Simple question, how do you enjoy working for the town? All the comments, they couldn't work at a greater place. That was from the summer students to people that have been there 10 or 15 years. So, and that's it for my report.
Thank you. Councilor Taylor.
On May 9th, they attended the Homelessness Mental Health Addictions Task Force meeting. Spinning off of what Councilor Byer had said, just discussion around a future facility of some kind, and obviously, like there's some work being done in the background in terms of setting up a future facility. But of course, it's what it is and what Edson needs, and we need to see the survey results done first, whether it is a sober living facility, whether it's a transitional housing facility. So we're looking to see the results of the survey, which should be ready June.
Sure, yeah, in a few weeks.
And then we just begin the next steps. It's a slow process, but we just want to make sure that when the facility is set up and how it is set up, it has longevity to it. And it just doesn't get set up and just die in just a short period of time. So there's a lot of prep work in the background. I know what's going to be done there. So May 10th, committee of the whole meeting. And May 16th, I attended the library board finance committee meeting where we sort of looked at the 2023 budget, where I felt sorry for all the work that the Spittner does every single year as I go through the budget and how complicated that was. But we did it and I survived and it was all good. Today was staff appreciation barbecue, and I was happy that I wasn't flipping the barbecues. Councilor Bevan was doing an amazing job on the barbecue because I would have burned all the burgers. So shameless plug, Village of Idiots, June 1st to 4th in Centennial Park.
Thank you.
Councilor Patricia.
I have nothing to
Another report.
The burgers are pre-cooked, you just gotta warm up, that makes them look good.
Okay, May 10th, there was a call meeting for myself, 17th staff appreciation, and Mayor has a hair, you get the last word.
Ask him who he's cheering for, what's that big C?
On May the 5th, I attended the Municipal Climate Change Action Center Roundtable on a new climate program with our energy coordinator, Brendan Realm, and AUMA and the MCAC are going to be releasing that program soon. It was a lot of great information shared on rural Alberta and what would work and what wouldn't work in terms of capacity when it comes to dealing with climate change. On the 10th, I attended the Cal meeting, and then on the 13th, I attended a Zoom call with AUMA and Public Safety Canada about the retroactive policing costs. Public Safety Canada has not issued any invoices for retroactive policing. The reason they have not done so, they normally would be doing that here in the last month or so, because once they issue that invoice, it must be paid according to the contract within 45 days of the municipalities receiving that invoice. And they know that there's a lot of concerns about this, so they're holding off on that. We were able to provide our perspectives on our belief that municipalities shouldn't have to pay for the retroactive policing costs, as we were not at the table, and that if we are to pay or pay a portion of that, we are unable to do so until at least 2023, as budget's already set. So Public Safety Canada is going to take that back to the government and the ministers. I was very pleased to see that they were listening to our concerns, and we shared with them the municipal process of budgeting and the impacts that this retroactive policing cost could have on our municipalities. And it's actually going to take away from some of the federal goals and programs that they would like to see in terms of affordable housing, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of dealing with things like climate change, because this money for this retroactive policing costs are going to take away from all of that. So we pleaded with the government to reconsider that cost for us as a municipality. That's equivalent to a 5.5 to 6% tax increase, over $500,000, which means that's $500,000 less than we have for infrastructure. So we'll see what they'll come back with. I thought it was a very good discussion, and hopefully we'll see some movement in that here in the next few months. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on here. Questions from media and public regarding items from this council meeting. Yes, go ahead.
Through the Deputy Mayor and Council, in your strategic plan, under fostering a robust and adaptable economy, you do have to explore initiatives that will encourage underused and contaminated sites to be remediated. Do you have specific sites in mind? Are there contaminated sites within the town that have not undergone their environmental assessments?
Do we want to mention?
Clayton,
Mr. Deputy Mayor, so I don't have that data on hand. I suspect, though, we haven't done a full analysis of that at this point in time, but I think what this speaks to is it's something that we should have a handle on, and we probably would want to do that and determine if we need to put some resources to it. So I don't have data at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Well, Mayor's here.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, Adrian. If you drive along the highway, you'll see a couple sites that have some sort of fencing around it with no building on it. Those are former gas station sites, contaminated sites. So these are the types of areas that we're talking about that are brownfields that we need to look at what programs are available and work with those property owners to make them into usable sites. So I think that's what we're speaking to in that in the strategic plan, because as you know, in those areas we already have underground infrastructure. So if we want to be most cost effective in redeveloping our community, it's doing that infill and not pushing development outwards.
Anything else, Adrian?
No, I think it's out there. Thank you.
You'll make a phone call, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Seeing nothing else, I get a motion at the meeting, move into a closed session pursuant to section 16 of the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. Taylor, make that motion. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, could I have a motion for adjournment, please?
Motion for adjournment.
Oh, yeah, give it to the mayor.
Mr. Mayor, all in favor?
He's got to have one win because we know his hockey game he ain't gonna win.
Oh,